Yo, so what's up everyone again? Welcome to yet another video. So I'm going to do a quick recap of what we are looking at today. All right. Yeah. So quick recap of what we are seeing today in terms of some of our favorite pairs. So let's just dive right into it. Looking at the Dixie, let's see. Yes. So still a lot of bearish momentum on the dollar. Looking at some of the analysis we did earlier this week, we wanted price to sort of come back to this zone right here, print a lower high, and then continue to the downside. We can see that we've been printing lower highs, lower lows, and lower highs, lower lows, and lower highs. So we're looking for some sort of reaction around the 97.6 area for us to continue selling. If we were to continue with that short that bearish momentum, that's what I kind of wanted to see from a higher time frame perspective. From an from an intraday perspective, more or less the same thing is what we've been seeing. Getting some nice bullish, getting some nice bearish momentum to the downside. We can see that this is where there was that consolidation before a breakout. So this would be a good area to look for sells. You can see how price reacted off of that zone and then continued to the downside. So again, still bearish on USD, on the dollar. So Dixie sells targets. Possibly my first targets will be over there, but then it'll also be good to target the previous lows as we continue with that momentum. Again, from a higher time frame perspective, we're still trying to get those shorts, and we're still bearish on the dollar. We have been bearish for quite some time, as you can see, from around May. Lower highs and lower lows, lower highs and lower lows, lower highs and lower lows. We could get a quick turnaround now that things are sort of relaxing from a geopolitical point of view. We could see that turnaround. Trump has also negotiated new trade deals with China, and the Israel-Iran war has slowed down quite a bit. So we could see that reversal, and we would want to position ourselves quite well to catch that momentum to the upside. As we go, we can see that we are way below the 200 EMA. We have been quite bearish for quite some time, and I'd be looking for, again, that turnaround of the dollar. Now that we're still sort of bearish on dollar, we expect that some of our favorite pairs would still be buying. EU, as of today, still bullish with big bullish momentum. We can see that we have been bullish for quite some time with higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. That new swing high formed right there at around 1.183, and then we got a nice pullback to 1.17, and then a bullish rejection to the upside is where we currently are. Let's zoom in slightly from an intraday perspective. I think this is a great area to be buying from. This area that we are at right now. Why? Just because it sits at a nice resistance level. We had that consolidation before the breakout. So then if price was to come and react off of this zone, which is what we're looking at earlier today, and then we get those buys, then what we can look for, if depending on how this candle closes, which closes in the next 2 minutes, we can anticipate for some good rejections from this level. Because again, we had this consolidation, and then we broke this previous structure right here with a nice break, pull back into like a deep zone, which is a deep retracement right there into a golden zone right there. So then anticipated sell obviously to the downside over here, and then now that price is pulling back to this area of interest, then we can now look for some intraday sells to that zone. However, we do know that on the higher time frame, this area here between 1.176 and 1.171 is where the buyers might be looking to get in for those continued sells. So this area right here. So price has rejected off of that zone. We could see potential, this is on an intraday perspective, so we could see price continue on to the upside. However, we do know that after every break of structure, we should anticipate a pullback. Whether price will pull back even deeper, is yet to be known, but this could be that that swing high that people are trying to catch and then trade price to the downside in terms of a deep pullback. And again, this would be an interesting zone here around the 1.16, which is what we saw last week of June. Price really take off of that area. So again, if price was to come back in this area, again, we'll be looking for a bullish rejection to the upside. That might be a good trade with a good risk to reward. I can see it already. GBP USD give us a nice bearish reaction or rejection off of here. We got a nice intraday sell. In the morning, we were looking to see whether price would hold in some of these areas, whether price would break here with confidence. And then this was a key area here in the sense that there was that consolidation and then a break to the upside. So again, what we're looking for is price rejection off of this area, and then we get those buys. However, we did trade the counter. I shared that with the group. We did trade that counter right after this bullish, not this bullish, right after this swing was printed right here. We did catch a nice sell. Let me just show you what it looked like on the 15 minutes. This is one of those trades where, you know, you wish this would happen every day. What price did was take out some of these highs right here. Okay, after giving us a strong break to the downside, came back, took out this liquidity. With that, wicked above that area of interest and then wicked right back. So on the higher time frame, that is just a wick. And then once it did that with an aggressive reaction, breaking these strong internal lows, right? So then as price comes back and corrects, once we saw, this was my confirmation right here. Once I saw that bullish engulfing candle, that was my entry. That was my sign that we should look for an entry. It broke here, came back, reacted off of this supply zone. That's what we wanted. And then we just got in for a nice sell, a nice 1:3, which is very good. A nice good trade. I think we'd have held it to a nice 1-3, 1-4, maybe 1-5 if our stops were a bit tighter. But we did go in on the 5 minute. And that's kind of what we saw right there. So reaction of that 5 minutes supply zone. So again, good trade here, but on the higher time frame, what we're seeing is big rejections. So this is a bad sign for sellers because price has rejected off of that price level of 1.13, and now we are printing another bullish candle. So we could see that bullish continuation again because dollar is still quite weak, and we could see price maybe pull back to those highs. Can it make it all the way up? We're not sure, but let's wait and see what price does overnight, because we seem to just be continuing with that bullish momentum on GBP USD. What's going on this week is also very interesting. It's a very short week. So we have bank holiday on Friday. So that means NFP is on Thursday, which is tomorrow. So expect some volatility. But again, volatility is our friend because that is where money is made. Now, USD CAD, again, we're bearish on the dollar, right? So we're looking for price as of yesterday. We're looking for price to come back and reject off of that zone. And that's exactly what it did. From an intraday perspective, we can see what happened here. Nice consolidation right here. Nice consolidation there with a break to the downside. And again, if we were to just use our fib, that's that thing, and then came back here. We shifted bullish in that internal. That was this morning. Price came back over there. And then if you took your shots from, what is this, 15 minutes? Yeah. So we take the 0.7 and then we just all the way to the downside. That would have been a lovely trade. How I would have taken it from a 5 minute perspective. Let's see. If we drop down to the 5 minutes, I'd be looking for price to react off of that zone, which is what we're seeing there. So we get that. We get this swing print, and then structure is broken internal, right? Then we'd look for those sells. So we get a second continuation. And then what I'd want to see now is for price to either come back to that zone, and then we get in on those entries. So then I can do that. Bam. And then we say, okay, we want to short. Maybe I wouldn't have been tapped in just because I'm being a bit too sniper, but that would have been ideal for me. as a sell with my stop loss there. 5 pips stop loss on GU. It's quite aggressive. Would have easily caught a 1:5 or 1:10 if that actually played out the way we wanted it to. USD CAD, no, sorry, USD CAD. Did I say GBP USD? So USD CAD again, bearish, even on the higher time frame. Big bearish sells. Yeah, this would be a nice place to, let's see what we have here. Yeah, I think we'd want to see price come down to this 1.345 level for us to get a sort of reaction off of that zone, and then possibly get a slight reversal to the upside. However, if we do pull back during Asia session, I'll be looking for more USD CAD sells tomorrow. AUD USD still bullish. We're currently in this trade looking at price go up, which is good. We're looking for it to print a sort of higher high within that channel, and then once we get that higher high, then we can sort of look for some sells. As you can see, we are above the 200 EMA. We did get a good signal somewhere around here to buy, which is that one. So that's kind of what we are riding on, which is that trend, to try and catch these highs. I'll be taking some partials off of the previous highs and then waiting for price to be rejected above here. Print for me a higher high, and then possibly if we get that new swing high from here, we get that new swing high, right? We get confirmation, then we can look for some sort of sells, which could align with our anticipated reversal on the dollar's strength, right? Gold on the higher time frame, let's see, we hit one loss on gold today and one winner as well early in the morning. Gold, bullish on gold, again still bearish on the US dollar, so bullish on gold. We can see big momentum, just momentum candles one after another, printing from the 3,200 level to 3.35, which is good. We could see it come up to the 3.38. Give us another minor, a swing high, give us a high print there, because we've seen it print bearish. We can see that we're bullish as of May, and then coming into June, we did print those highs, 3,448, almost hit the 3,500 mark, and then we just started tanking once we print that swing high. Internal has been bearish, printing of minor swing highs, lower highs and lower lows. And then price seems to have reversed slightly. We can see our internal break right there, confirmed. So then we can anticipate continued bullish momentum, and then maybe see a reaction of the 3.377 zone, and then look for maybe some sells. If the dollar again, looking at what news will do this week, if the dollar again strengthens real quick, then we could anticipate some sells off of this area right here. So yeah, that is it from gold. Let's look at what we did intraday. From an intraday perspective, once I saw that big change, break of structure right here of that swing, you can see price just swung from here, from that high, all the way to the upside. Once I saw that, then we anticipated pullback. So after every break of structure, what do we anticipate? A pullback or a reversal, right? So then once that happened, I saw these quick changes of character. So then this was an aggressive entry. So again, a quick 1:2, which is nice by midday. In the evening, right before New York open, we tried to get some other sells right there. You can see price came on to the downside. We anticipated that these internal highs would hold, those internal strong highs. That was a nice sweep. So once after the sweep of those strong highs, we're looking for price to continue to the downside and come and break these previous lows right here. But that didn't happen. I mean, price had other agendas. I mean, gold is gold. So we got an initial push towards our profit, and then one big candle took us out. And then we got liquidated, and then price continued on to the downside. We could have hit maybe a good 1:1 there, but we did lose. Bias was sort of correct from an intraday perspective, but that was just not meant to be. Entry was on the 15 minutes. If I was to enter on the 5 minutes, let me see if I would have found a valid entry. No, we still would have been taken out. Yeah, just because we were anticipating for that to, as you can see, we had that internal break of structure, and I thought that price would just continue to the downside, but it had other ideas, I guess. Bitcoin as well, big momentum to the upside. This is very interesting. We could see possible 110, 111 K. In terms of prices, we do have that resistance there. So we will see a sort of rejection or reaction from here. But we could see, you know, with that momentum, looking at this momentum coming in from just today only, since this morning, we could see price continue pushing to the upside with that failed supply right there. We could see continuation to the upside, maybe get price to 111. If we get to 111, then I'd be looking for some nice sells from that region as a rejection, because the last time we were up here was in May. So we could see a potential rejection from that price. Could be short-lived, because then it might just be time for Bitcoin to give us some more all-time highs. 111, 112 could be the target. But as for now, I'm staying out of sells. I'm just watching this buy momentum, waiting for price reaction over there. That's why I'll be setting my alerts and waiting to see how price reacts in that zone. Let's have a look at JPY and what it has to say. Right. So, I mean, for JPY, we could see we've been having, what have we been having? We had a nice swing in April, and then we've been very corrective to the downside. So very corrective on JPY, which means that we could see a potential reversal anytime now. However, we're still sort of in that bearish momentum. So then what I'd be looking for is for price to get to that point, which it sort of already has. I kind of missed that one. But price to react off of that point, and then we go in for the sells. I wouldn't go in for sells at this point in time, because that would be a very massive stop loss. So maybe wait for a lower high to print, another lower high to print right next to that inside bar, and then maybe look for those sells to the downside. So that's kind of what I'd be looking for on JPY. But we could be seeing some possible JPY momentum to the upside pretty soon. Again, we've been bearish for quite some time. So with that said, looking at USD JPY, the dollar yen, I mean, that was an aggressive push to the downside. This was a nice area we were looking for buys from. So then what I'd be looking for is for price to come back, give us a confirmation retest of that zone right there. Once we get that double bottom confirmation, then maybe now start looking for buys to the upside. So wait for a retest of here, and then we continue with those buys. Yeah, and then this would be an area maybe I'd be looking to continue shorting. We have rejected off that area once, so we might wait to see how price reacts off of that zone as well for us to continue with our shorts. But that's kind of it on dollar JPY. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward price action. We have been bearish for quite some time. We could see that potential reversal now that we've hit an area of interest. However, we could see, do we think the dollar will continue weakening? Maybe not. I mean, both of them are going through, the dollar and the yen are all going through a sort of trying to restructure or a restructuring. So that's why price is not moving as aggressively as we would want it to. But that's what I'd want to see. Euro JPY, we took a loss here on Euro Yen. Let's see. What were we looking at? This was from last week. It was a very quick loss as well. From last week, I mean, we were looking at Euro Yen reversal. If you remember, through our analysis for last week was this is the area that caused that big push to the upside. So you were anticipating for price to come back and retest this area and then continue to the upside. So then once we saw this confirmed swing high, we were anticipating for price to continue on to the downside, which, you know, that didn't happen. It was a quick loss, quick in and out, and now we can see that price is ranging. So I'll stay out of Euro Yen for now. We were in initial buys, so maybe the buyers are looking to continue pushing this price to the upside. However, I'd want to see these lows taken out first, maybe a retest of that zone, and then we continue with our buys. So Euro Yen, I'll be sitting out of it for now. GBP JPY, so dollar yen again did something a bit crazy. We were looking for this bounce off of this zone, which price you see actually you see which price bounced, actually reacted off of that zone, give us a nice bounce. However, what we're looking for is a continuation to the upside, and then we get to those highs, but immediately we saw a big reaction, a rejection to the downside. This could also just be a sweep of liquidity, so big rejection again to the downside. So we could see price move up. What I'd be looking at is for price to possibly close above that 196,500 level, retest that level again, and then continue to the upside. That's where I'd be looking to take my entries with a nice risk to reward, maybe somewhere around up there. Potentially keep my stops below that zone, and then ride it on to the upside. That is if we continue there. However, now that we've closed below this strong support here, so I'll be waiting to see what price does throughout the Asia range, which we know price will be moving quite aggressively since this is a yen pair, GBP JPY. So once we wake up tomorrow morning, I'll be waiting to see how price has reacted and what might have formed. This is definitely a big aggressive candle, so I'll be watching out to see what that candle does. Right. Let's see, is there anything we haven't touched on? Maybe not. Euro, we've touched on that one. Yeah. Okay, guys, I think that's my analysis for today. Let's wait and see what price does tomorrow. Remember, big news coming out tomorrow, so we should be aware. Let's see what time the news will be. Oof. Unemployment NFP change tomorrow 3:30 p.m. local time, or 8:30 a.m. 9:30 a.m. New York time. So tomorrow should be interesting. And then we also have PMI Friday, again bank holiday, so nothing there. Right.